Now that we've talked to Strongheart and gotten our cure formula, we can casually move on. Alright, now we can go all the way back to the village and talk to the village people. Because we want to make sure that they don't burn Baby Burn in a disco inferno. Alright. Oh, alright. Alright. And now it's time for another hidden formula. You think that after getting Acid Rain and Cure very quickly in a row, we'd have some more distance. Nope. There's even more afoot. Remember that area I was talking about? Yep. Talk to this guy. You saved Strongheart in the Bug Muck. Well done. Nice save. I can help you defend yourself in future battles with an old recipe. There's an alchemy formula for defend. Use it with 1 part clay and 1 part ash to increase your defensive abilities. This is an okay item, but it is something I would probably have for the rest of the game, basically, because it is helpful. But it's not that good. Anyway. So here is a call bead, 4 parts clay, and 5 parts ash. The reason I did not want to come in here before until I've met Fire Eyes again was because if you open that gourd when you don't have call beads, it will be something else. And call beads, while not immeasurably useful, are actually very rare. There's a finite amount of call beads you can get. Alright. So yes, I could go to the effort of buying these things, but you get better items later on anyway. Alright. So, now that we just casually walk past all this, we can, I forgot to actually put down time for this part, so this might go over or under 15 minutes. Well, not that it went over that much over anyway, but whatever. Now that we can actually move on... Oh, wow! And this is the progress from the new enemy. They no longer just strike you away. No, they want to eat you. You'd expect that they would all do this. Shit! But no, only the advanced ones do. Maybe that's why they're advanced. And they're also quite a bit tough. They take a lot of axe shots before they go down. Alright. It actually gets kind of grating how the dog can actually be really stupid about accidentally getting hit by these guys. And I'm not too worried about the dog gaining levels over my axe, because either way, the axe is not an item I would want to charge up that much. Because basically until until Act 3 and 4, where they or Act 2 and 3, where they deliberately force you to use the axe is really not that helpful for anything besides a cutting tool, which your third weapon soon enough will be able to do anyway. Alright. Ah! Alright. Oh, come the fuck on! Jeez. Mosquitoes. They never become less annoying, even in video games. Ah. Still, I'd appreciate the ability to get some damn XP. Anyway, come in here, and there is another armor shop. This guy does sell better armor than the guy in the village, however, it's still not that good. We already have 2 of the items he has, and I actually forgot to equip the Mammoth Guard. You can get better stuff anyway. And that's because soon enough the village man will actually upgrade his weapon shop, and you will actually be able to buy the highest end armor you can here. But I can't remember what actually triggers it. It could be meeting the guy who gives us our next formula, but it might be something else. Anyway. So this is actually a very important piece of knowledge that we know, that this cave entrance is blocked by a rock. Ah! Fucking mosquitoes. I've always adored this piece of music. Now, I said before, Bugmuck just kind of felt like it wild, intimidating and yet wild. This music just kind of fits just the right tone of there's evil afoot. Shit! Or you're in danger, if you will. Ah, and our first case of poison. So we will go with our first case of cure. By the way, you can't do any other things while you use cure. And our first case of defense, because I'm low on health. And I don't want to use a health item. So yeah, vanilla defend will not be that good. Because vanilla defend will not be very good in the initial instances. Because, damn. Okay, I should use a health item then. Because vanilla defend is not that powerful. It'll only increase your defense by a certain amount of numbers, but it won't be that high. Alright. I could forcibly make it higher by doing... Actually, I probably should do that, because I think I can demonstrate for you that that glitch I showed you is not just for weapons. Alright. As the dog, I can constantly input defend on myself until I can't. Now the thing is, that didn't actually raise my stat, so... So I'm just gonna use it on this. Or, like, it didn't increase my stat any more than it normally would have. Or, I meant to say it didn't increase the level. So now it's at level 1. Hopefully this means that the next mini-boss encounter will do quite well. Alright, we've got 3 parts clay. And now we will come across another mini-boss. And like the other mini-boss we had found, it is a set of many enemies. You trespass on our bone land! Prepare to join the mammoths! I don't even know what accent I was going for there. Ah, yes. And more very good music. This is sort of the generic boss music, but you know what? I dig it. Ah, yes. And I actually need to demonstrate the acid rain. And I'll do that by stacking way the hell too many of them together. Here's the thing. When you stack everything together, it is actually stacking them up, even the graphic sprites together, and it still did balls damage. That's how much acid rain sucks. Ah, defend has worn off. As far as I know, defends properties that increase with levels are the amount of time it's active and how much it increases your defense by. But still not that long and still not that useful. But it's good enough to the point where you're going to want it to... It might be a good precaution to have. So I'm just going to start spamming to increase my levels. Alright, well, let's hope it does something. Ah, yes. And unlike the other one where we had 4 guys and that's it, this time we have 4 dinos and 1 super dino, as I'm sure you saw the gray one come up. Actually, who are these? What are these guys' names? Let's see. Ah, these are vipers. If you were wondering what the guy was referring to earlier when he was talking about vipers, he was not in fact talking about snakes. He was in fact talking about these guys. And this guy up here... Oh, no. He's not come down yet. Alright, there he is. Yeah, the guy who introduced us to this place is the Viper Commander. He is not a nice guy. Alright. So, might as well try stacking some more acid rains. And more demonstration of what happens when you start mixing formulas. I've not been keeping track So yeah. Oh wow! We actually beat him, and our music is fucked. So yes, we already got our next weapon. Very shortly after beating Thrax, we already got a better weapon. I wonder if this gate leads to the volcano, and you can actually see someone's toes. Better. Thank you for fighting off those vicious vipers. They treat this sacred mammoth graveyard as if it was a source of bones and tusk. Those guys were vipers? Yes, lizard people from the great volcano. They've been coming out in forces lately, raiding the graveyard for mammoth parts. When we get to the core of the volcano, we'll stop them before they do any harm. Why are you going there? It's dangerous! Well, Fire Eyes told us about the volcano cooling and... Fire Eyes? Fire Eyes? Say no more. If you're a friend of Fire Eyes, I know I can trust you. You may find the means to enter the Viper's domain at the top of the volcano, to the north. I'll let you through the gate. Should I heal your wounds? No, if you tell him yes, he will heal you. But it also means he will not give you some ingredients that may be beneficial. No, that's okay. Very well. I won't heal you now, but I'll give you a formula that will allow you to heal yourself. You can use it whenever you have at least 1 pot water and 1 pot loot. This is another one where you're going to want to keep your eyes on, where you're going to always want these. If you're wondering why this order is kind of strange, it's alphabetical. So out of all of these, the only weapons, the only spells that are any good are all the status ones. The weapons so far are actually pretty crap. Here are some extra ingredients that I had lying around in the skull. 10 parts oil and 10 parts crystal. You can use these ingredients for your other formulas. Alright. More importantly, we got the spear. This is probably the most useful classification of all your melee weapons. And that is because of what happens when you choose to use it charged up. It has, quite simply, some very, very interesting effects. Alright. Now we can just go around here collecting oil, clay, bones, whatever. Actually, I don't think you collect bones until very late in the game, which is weird. Or somewhat late in the game. You'd think it would actually be one of the things that you'd get very, very easily. But then again, you don't see too much evidence of people dying except, you know, the graveyard. Maybe it's sacred. Anyway. Alright, so more wax. You'd think you'd find, you know, bones in, well, bones. Alright. Alright, plenty of parts. Now I can enter through the skull. And we're in a bright jungle. Ah, and the return of the raptors. If you were wondering where the dinos were, here they are in all their leaping glory. Yeah, getting accustomed to trying to hit these guys is really tricky. Because, yeah, they're kind of hard to hit because they're always running around. As I said, a lot of the enemies run on the same rhythm you do. That is, run away and attack. Run away, come in close, and then attack. The entire idea behind this is pretty simple. You need to charge up your moves. Apparently, the enemies also have very similar rhythms. Which makes sense, except the raptors are also super fast. Alright. And now, I'm thinking this is going to have to be it for this part of Let's Play Secret of Evermore. So, come back next time. After a brief little rest, we can recover from the fact that we're all so tired. And join us next time when we'll go up to the top of the volcano and get the spell that we need. See you guys then. Before I explain this defend stat glitch, I have to actually explain the idea of a signed and an unsigned integer. See, an integer in computers is, in binary, it is read in a very specific way. In binary, a 0 at the beginning of an integer at the leftmost side is the most important value. And if it's 0, it's positive. If it's 1, it's negative. And the way that subtraction works in binary is it works like a very weird addition where whatever value you're subtracting, turn that into a value that once it's added to the first value, it will basically be the same as if you're subtracting. But the last number will carry over and it won't count anymore. Well, if theoretically you could add a number that turns the final value into a negative number, that would be shown by having a 1 at the beginning. Here's the thing though, if the system doesn't realize that that number can be negative, you can end up having a negative number turning into an extremely high number. And you can forcefully do this in Secret of Evermore. If at any point you use defend and then save, when you load your game back up, you will still have defend on you, but your stats will actually be reduced to match your normal stats as if you didn't have defend. And once defend wears off, you will actually lose whatever defense you gained from using the alchemy. And if you do this a couple of times or with a strong enough defense boost, you could end up deliberately giving yourself absurdly high defense. Because the game thinks, or because you basically subtracted a number to the point where it's negative, but the game reads it as something that's just very, very, very high. However, if you choose to do this, leveling up too much can actually be detrimental. It will result in the integers overflowing again and going back down to 0.